Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Going Rounds podcast. I made it home in time to do the podcast from home, and I'm super happy about this because it's been a shitty week. It could have been way worse, but I was out of town again. Uh, and I thought I was gonna have to be doing this from out of town. Luckily, I am not. I'm here at home, comfortable. I just got home earlier today. I had to do like a quick setup, and I had the least amount of time possible throughout the week to get everything ready. I've said it before. It takes it's kind of a lot of prep work. To get everything the way I want it for the podcast. So I I didn't have a lot of time. I usually work on it throughout the week. Every day, doing a little bit here and there, and then news happens. Uh, big big news, big announcements, stuff like that happen throughout the week sometimes. So sometimes I got to change it up, and this week it wasn't really like that so much, but oh man, it was a rough week. I was basically traveling, and I I was in like three different cities in 3 different days, and then I wound up coming home today. So I'm happy about that. I got home at like a normal time from work. So that made it better, but I still had to come home, set everything back up because I have to break everything down and take it with me when I go out of town. And yeah, even though I, I I got home and got it all set up, and then I still on top of that had to do all my prep work and get everything together and ready. So luckily, I have a process and it worked out, so I'm happy about that. And I'm here doing the damn thing, and I made it, and I pretty much was able to get everything ready with enough time to sit down with the wife and have some dinner. And yeah, so I guess it wasn't so bad. But still, it felt like a shitty week and a long week, and I'm just glad I'm here to do it at home. Of course I have my drink, and that's what I would have been lacking if I wasn't home. Cheers to everyone out there. Thanks for tuning in if you're there, or if you are watching later. Thanks for checking it out. So yeah, that's a little bit about how my week has gone. Uh Hopefully everyone else has had a pretty good week. I'm not feeling the best right now either. I feel kind of shitty. I pretty much just think that I've been traveled out, like just it's hard to have a good meal when you're on the road, and when you're tired and you just want to get to your hotel room after working all day. You don't want to go sit at a restaurant and deal with that. Or once I get to my room, I got to set all my stuff up and like try to relax, and it feels like time just flies. So especially when you're changing hotel rooms. Monday I was in one hotel room. Tuesday I was in a different hotel room in a different city. Wednesday I'm in a different hotel room in a different city. And then today, so I don't really get to settle in. I have to kind of set up whatever I can. And yeah, I don't know how everyone else does it, but I take stuff with me, like all my podcasts set up, because I usually have podcasts throughout the week. But this week, luckily, I would have missed them otherwise, but we didn't have any Rumble podcast this week on Tuesday and Wednesday like normal. So I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna get some time. I'm gonna get to do some different stuff, and maybe do some upgrades and things with the podcast." But and I did. I actually did get to do a couple cool things that you might notice throughout the podcast that I changed up. But it's nothing crazy because like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of time. So it's all right though. It is what it is. Got to make that money. Got to keep the job going. Did a lot of random things, and yeah, now I'm here. So I'm pretty happy about that. I missed my house. I missed my dogs. I missed my family, and I miss being able to work out of my room here instead of having to set stuff up and break it down and set it up and break it down. It's so annoying. So anyway, enough of my bitch fest for the for my week. I'm happy to be here. hopefully start feeling better here in a minute. Maybe this drink will help everything go away. My stomach is killing me. My head was hurting all day. I don't know what the hell's going on. I think it's just all the travel, like I said. Whatever. We're gonna get here. I'm gonna forget about it here in about 20 minutes when I start getting into everything. Not even 20 minutes, you know what I mean. It's gonna be like 2 minutes. I'm gonna start getting into everything. I'll forget about all this crap. And that's why I like doing this, because it'll help me forget about all the shitty shit. I know you're out there saying, well, quit bitching about it, Eric, and you'll get over it faster. And you're goddamn right. So that's what I will stop doing right now, is complaining about that. Good thing about, like I said, I'm here home and there's a lot to talk about. There was a lot of news going on this week. There's been a lot of announcements, fight announcements. And I don't like to get too into those right away because, everyone else is just, it's just an announcement. So there's not much to it. You're basically hearing about a fight that's going to be coming up. You get excited about that. There's not much more to it. Some of them intrigue people for long enough to keep them talking about it a couple shows or a couple weeks, but then it fizzles out until it gets closer to time to fight, to the actual fight. So for me, you know, I hear about these announcements. I post them on social media, which is going on, you know, right down there. Go check it out everywhere. Mostly Instagram and Facebook. I post all the news and happenings around MMA and combat sports. That's where I'm most active. But if you go to my TikTok, you can see some funny stuff from the shows. I like to make TikToks about bloopers and things that when I mess up. I just like to make fun of myself. It keeps me grounded and I think it's funny. So might as well make it funny, right? And then while Twitter, oh, that reminds me. Let me do this right now. If I can remember where I put it. There we go. I just tweeted out that I am live. And that's what you'll get from Twitter. I retweet stuff when I see stuff come through Twitter, but Twitter's tough right now. It's still in that phase of everyone's hates it or loves it or got away from it, but I'm still there. So maybe I'll get more active sometime soon. Anyway, get all that. Let's get into the stuff that really matters. First off, I didn't put anything together for this, but Francis Ngannou has been in the news, like, of course, in and out of the news since he announced that he was leaving the UFC, vacated the title. He left on his own accord. He's a free agent. The UFC doesn't even get to match anything. They don't have the right to match any deal because they pretty much relinquished that. So, that's cool for Francis, and I'm not sure how his injury's doing at the moment, but he is out there kind of putting himself out there, seeing what he can catch on that line. He's looking for a boxing fight, and we all knew this already. If you follow anything, you knew already that that's what he wants. That's what he's looking for, that Tyson Fury fight. But there's rumblings if, Tyson Fury doesn't happen, then maybe Anthony Joshua. And that'd be pretty interesting as well, because Joshua likes to get into brawls. And it's not always the smartest fight for him, but that might be the best bet that Francis Ngannou has. Because if somebody wants to just stand and bang with them and not be technical or tactical about their approach to boxing him, he can land. And if he lands a solid punch, he's got a lot of power behind that punch. He's a big, big athletic dude. And he lands that nasty punch, he can damn near take your head off like he did with that uppercut to Alistair Overeem. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other things that factor in when it comes to that Alistair fight, but you can't deny what was seen and what was done. I watched it with my own eyes. It happened. Alistair's head almost came off his shoulders, and it was pretty nasty. So Ngannou's got that power. But I heard Eddie Hearn on the Ariel Helwani MMA Hour podcast, and he was a guest on there, and he's taught, he's Matchroom Boxing promoter, and he was on there talking about how there's like serious talks behind getting Ngannou that Tyson Fury fight or the Anthony Joshua fight. If he goes the Anthony Joshua route, obviously Eddie Hearn won't be involved in any of that. But his rumors that are being heard are that Joshua is in the running for sure. And then he talked about Nate Diaz possibly getting a fight with Canelo Alvarez, or that's what they're like talking about. Now, again, these are just rumors. I don't really know. Eddie Hearn just kind of threw these things out there saying that those are two intriguing matchups that have been talked about. So that'd be nuts. Nate Diaz against Canelo Alvarez, like fuck, talk about jumping in the deep end. Like get some other boxing matches out there first. Like don't go right after the top of the top. But I mean, that's what these guys are looking for is that big payday because Nate for sure got a couple big paydays in the UFC and he's doing all right for himself. But Ngannou, he didn't get those big paydays. So who knows? Who knows what happens there with that? And I guarantee Ngannou gets his fix in boxing and then he comes right back to MMA, maybe back to the UFC. You never know. At some point, he'll probably just let it all go and get back to the elite organization, even though they don't pay as fairly as other organizations pay or what boxing pays, but no MMA organization will really pay that. So who knows? And I'm interested to see. I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit of information that Eddie Hearn threw out there. So yeah, that's about it for that. We'll just get right into everything that I've got prepped here and ready to go. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about. Let me take a drink first because already my mouth is getting dry. Kidding. The excuse to have a nice sip of an old fashioned, which I haven't had all week because I've been gone. So that's the other benefit of being home. So here we go. Let's get this started. First off, this is something I wanted to touch on right away because I thought this was pretty badass. I mean, Laura Sanko, if you know, is a pretty much like a backstage interviewer, kind of. She interviews the fighters after fights and the backstage. She started really on the Contender Series, doing those post-fight interviews backstage. So feels kind of loud. I don't know if it's coming across that loud, but I'm gonna turn that down just a tad. Anyway, so yeah, now she's making UFC color commentary debut at UFC Vegas 68, which is awesome. I mean, it's kind of weird because it's an Apex fight. So it's an Apex event where they're fighting in the UFC Apex Center. And, that's a smaller cage. It's a smaller venue, but it's a good place for her to get her start. She's been waiting for this. She's been trying to make her way in there. Anytime anybody talks about it, this is what she said she wants to do. So for her to be a color commentator, pretty badass. And basically she's making history because she's the first woman to be on the commentator desk for a actual event in the modern history. So when they say modern history, that is that's basically like the modern era of the UFC. So there was I have made a note because I can't seem to remember this person's name, but there was one woman who she actually commentated on UFC 1, the very first UFC ever. Her name was Kathy Long. So Laura Sanko actually gave her props and shouted her out and said, she's just following in the footsteps. Perfect. Oh, it did start over. Okay. So anyway, and she said she's, honored to follow in her footsteps and stuff like that. But this is a bit different because that event was not mainstream. That event was not as going out to the same kind of crowd that these events go to. So Laura Sanko, I mean, she's doing the damn thing. I'm happy for her. As you can see, she's a beautiful woman and she's an ex-fighter. So she still trains you can watch her on her Instagram doing jujitsu all the time. And she's pretty damn good at it. But she did fight for Invicta, which is the all women's promotion. That's actually kind of like a feeder league for women in the UFC. A lot of champs and fighters now have came from Invicta. You don't hear about it a lot. It's kind of actually fizzled out a bit, which I'm kind of sad about. Ever since COVID, it's been not really out there much. But I mean, it was interesting. It was cool to see nothing but a card full of women fighters, and that's what the organization is about. I'm not sure what's going on with it. I haven't heard a whole lot about it recently, but it is something that interests me, and I like following it. And I haven't really covered it much because they haven't had too many big events. I'm not sure that they have a lot of big name fighters. Obviously, they're not gonna have real big name fighters, but up and comers and fighters like that are, you know, out there proving themselves. Yeah, I haven't heard much about it, so it's kind of sucks because I enjoyed it. I didn't watch it all the time, but I enjoyed watching the highlights and seeing what happened, and watching some of their fighters get brought over to the UFC, and then watching them thrive there. So but yeah, so she definitely had some fights. She has the knowledge and the experience of being in the cage, and she's a great person to put in this position, and I'm here for it because having a woman as a commentator, it could be good or bad, but everything I've heard from Laura Sanko has been good. And she's got a great personality, and she's on a pre-fight show or something like that. They do a show beforehand. Her and Daniel Cormier and other guests, they do all kinds of crazy games, and they wind up drinking and stuff. I've seen her get drunk just from downing Modelo's. They're always chugging beers and doing all kinds of crazy shit. It's kind of fun. I never get to watch it all the way because it's always on at weird times throughout the day, and I'm usually busy doing stuff. So, but it's a cool like pre-fight show or something like that, and she's always on it. She's entertaining as hell. She's funny, and she's just down to earth. So I think it's gonna be good having her on the desk, but we'll see. This Saturday is gonna be her debut, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes down because she's been wanting it for a while. So good luck, Laura, and I'll be watching, and you know, hopefully everything goes well and she can do other events in the future. Moving on, we've got, go figure, we got some McGregor news. He's been in the news a lot lately. But first off, the unfortunate event of him getting hit on his bike. So he's riding his bike down this road. Apparently the sun is in his face as well as the people driving behind him. This guy apparently just did not see him because of the sun in his face and basically just ran his ass over. Obviously he didn't get like run under the car. Nobody knows exactly how it happened except for Connor. You know, he the way he explains it, if you watch the video, this fool always sounds like he's drunk. And I know it's his accent and stuff, but I mean, Mr. Mushmouth, you can't understand half the damn words he's saying. And I mean, it's not like Stipe where you think it's fucking CTE or something. Maybe it is though. Maybe that's part of it. But his accent is so thick. And when he's like, especially when he's in Ireland, you know, it's like even worse. So he said, just reading what he says is hilarious. In his words, got a bang of a car just now from behind, a sun trap. The driver couldn't see me. Full speed straight through me. Thank you, God. It wasn't my time. Thank you, wrestling and judo. Also, what the fuck? Having an awareness on the landing saved my life. Okay, now I see what he's trying to say. So I was confused because the way he words shit. Anytime he tweets, makes a post, anything he like types up and throws out there is always fucking just ramblings. And you can't ever fucking understand what he's saying. It's like, what, dude? I mean, I'm not the clearest talker in the world, and I get my words all mixed up and shit, but this fool talks like he's got marbles in his mouth. So, and then he's got the accent. And then, you know, no shade on that accent, but because it's kind of cool, actually, especially the way he says certain things, but fuck, it's so hard to understand him. And his just the way he puts his sentences, it's like, I don't even know. I don't even know what the fuck he does half the time or what kind of sense he's making, but it is what it is. That's what he said happened. In a video, it shows him like showing his bike and then showing the guy that hit him, and the guy's saying he's sorry and he's all apologetic, which I mean is cool. At least he was being apologetic about it and not being a dick, like yelling at him like, what are you doing in the road or any shit like that. And Connor's just like, it's okay, you know, I'm just happy to be here, I'm happy to be okay. I guess he got a huge gash on the side of his ass cheek. He had a picture. I wasn't about to put that picture up here though, but he did show a picture, I believe on Instagram or something. It was a huge gash on the side of his ass cheek. So of course his pants are all down. Well, doesn't care about having his pants down apparently, because yeah, it's Connor, whatever. But it's like, it was like a pretty big gash. It looked pretty bad. I'm sure it hurt like hell, but I mean, if that's what he came out with and that's it, that's not too bad for getting straight run through by a car. So, and then the video, and then he puts up another video, and it's him in the car with the guy that hit him, and he's showing how his bike is fucked up, and he's like, the bike is trash, it's in the back, this guy's giving me a ride home, and the guy's still like, I'm so sorry, and he's like, it's okay, what's your name? And he tells him his name, and he goes, I'm just happy to be here, thank God it wasn't my time. So I mean, it was cool, you know, because Connor has done some dumb shit for less things. You know, some old man says, fuck your whiskey or something in the bar, and he punches him in the face like an old guy. He slaps the shit out of people for no reason at all. And yeah, he does all kinds of dumb shit for way less than somebody running him over. Like, maybe he wasn't drunk, that's why. Because a lot of times if he's drinking or doing whatever other kind of party favors he likes to do, he's not so fucking violent, I guess. But he's always getting himself into some shit. So I was surprised that this is how he reacted to this. I guess it scared him enough to make him just grateful that he's still alive and he didn't die by getting run over by a car. So yeah, but on the flip side of that, we've got him with a case again. Reportedly accused of attacking a woman on a yacht in Ibiza. So, Spanish news site Ultima Hora reported that Conor McGregor has been named in an incident in which he allegedly struck a woman multiple times and threatened to drown her during a party to celebrate his birthday, which took place the weekend of July 15th. The woman then jumped off the yacht to escape because apparently she was so scared that he was going to try to kill her or actually kill her that she decided to jump off the yacht, get away from him. She said that he looked like insane, demonic, possessed, and that there was no like reasoning or rationing or, you know, being rational with him. So apparently, yeah, she jumped off the yacht. I don't know. And then like the Spanish Coast Guard or whatever, like picked her up, and then she is screaming about how he tried to kill her. He was gonna kill her. And then apparently she like dropped it all and said it wasn't a big thing or it wasn't a big deal, something like that. The fuck? I don't get it. And then of course she turns around and they reopen the case, or they resurface the case. I don't know what's actually happening, but apparently they're, you know, it's all coming back, and she's pressing charges now and all this other shit. Who knows? I mean, you know, like I said, Conor does some dumb shit, especially when he's been drinking or whatever else he's doing, and then shit pops off and he gets in trouble. I mean, it's par for the course when it comes to Conor. Seems like he's maybe on the Mexican supplements these days, so maybe he's got some roid rage going. I don't know, but he's got problems for sure, especially now with this. I mean, yeah, this happened in July, but until you get that like stupid fucking complete confirmation notice that this is done and over and you can't be retried or recharged with any of this, you never know when it could come back up. Being a celebrity, being anybody really, but a celebrity and that is always in trouble and always having some shit come up about him, this is what can happen. And, you know, Connor thinks it's over, thinks it's done. And then all of a sudden there's these rumblings of, you know, of the case coming back up. So an Irish dude may have got red while drinking whiskey. What's up, Lance, buddy? I appreciate you, you know, talking in the chat and stuff. You're always interactive with all of us in all of our podcasts, so I appreciate that, buddy. But yeah, go figure, right? Irish dude getting drunk and doing dumb shit. But yeah, so that's Connor for you. I don't know what's gonna happen with this. It's just like, you never know. It could be her just chasing some money, wanting to get some clout and fame, and maybe get paid off to shut up, and maybe that's what she's looking for. Or maybe she just, this is something that's been kind of weighing heavy on her, and maybe she's got some PTSD from jumping off the boat like a dumbass. I mean, I guess if she was really scared for her life, then that makes sense. But like, what the hell? How is there nobody? I don't get it. It's just a very weird story. And for it to come back up, like, I don't know, man. I guess we'll see what happens with it. Hopefully, if it's not true, it goes away. If it is true, maybe he'll learn his lesson finally. Probably not. You know, him on a normal basis is one thing. When he's free and clear of everything and sober, it definitely is an ongoing thing, Lance, for sure. But that's what I'm saying. Like, being sober, he does dumb shit as it is. But being drunk and fucked up and doing whatever he's doing is definitely just a whole other story. He's a whole different person. So who knows? I don't think he can even control himself. So I guess we'll see. Stay the fuck out of trouble. Hey, you know what? God damn it, Connor. You deserve this right here. Ah, fuck. And of course it doesn't work. That's so annoying. I was gonna play him telling himself to get his fucking shit together, but apparently my buttons don't want to work right now. That's a damn shame. I didn't test those. That's the one thing I did not test before I got started here. But that's all right. I don't really care that much. Yeah, so moving on. A little bit of brighter news. Cain Velasquez returns to AKA, which is where he trains. That's his gym. That's where him, Daniel Cormier, Luke Rockhold, Khabib Nurmagomedov, all those guys come from. And, you know, it's a badass gym. So it seems like he was able to get back there and do some training with some guys. And looks like he's having a good time. That's him in the green shirt at the bottom right, right above the EZ at the end of Velasquez. Looks like he's, you know, happy and healthy and all that. Obviously, you know, I brought this up because I'm just making sure people don't forget that he's not off the hook yet. He may be out there in the public eye. He may be out there doing wrestling matches and events, and then out here with AKA doing some training and maybe some teaching and stuff like that. But he's not off the hook yet. You know, he still has a case. He still has a trial to go through. So unless something else is happening that I haven't heard of yet, that's the thing. So, you know, I didn't wear my shirt today, but I will soon because I like to spread it out. And I like to make sure that everyone remembers that Cain is not fully free yet. He may be physically free out of jail right now, but he still has those, you know, he still has those handcuffs to worry about. So I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was cool. All the pictures I saw, he looked so happy and having fun, hanging out with the guys again and training and stuff. And it's really cool. And I'm glad that he's able to do that. Cain's one of my favorite fighters of all time, if you didn't know. And, you know, I support him and everything that's happening right now with his case. And I don't believe that he should have to go back to jail with everything that happened to his kid. And that person that did all that is the one that should be in jail or worse. So, and I always like to reiterate all that. Even though I've talked about it multiple times, I'm going to keep talking about it and reminding people, you know, free Cain. It's still a thing. I'll still wear my shirt. I wore it on the Rumble a couple weeks ago. I'll wear it again on here in a week or two just to keep it spread out and keep the reminder going until we hear more news and until he's completely free. So just want to throw that in there. Here we go. Another interesting turn of events and news this week. So they teased this shit, right? I can't get over Dana White's face. Just look at Dana. I mean, Logan Paul is a fucking goofball, right? I mean, I give him props for his talent and everything he does, but I mean, he's a goofball, right? He can box though, and he can wrestle too. But look at Dana White. Look at his fucking face. Why, dude? What is wrong with you? What the fuck is that? So, but to the announcement, all right? Here's the announcement. The Prime drink. It's a protein drink. It's like a body armor type drink, I guess. But they have energy drinks too. But this is just for their Prime hydration drink that they have. So apparently the UFC signed Logan Paul and the Prime hydration drink to be the official drink of the UFC. So that's what this whole thing was about. Now it's funny because of course leading up to it, they wanted to have people like wondering what was happening. They wanted to have people like wondering, is Logan Paul going to fight in the UFC? Because then they even throw out this teaser video. Now, it looks like he's taking a shit in his pants, Lance. That's what it looks like to me. But yeah, it does look like he's trying to act sober and he's not. I'm sure he wasn't. But Dana White's just, I don't know, dude. What the fuck is wrong with him? But yeah, so they tried to make it look like he was going to be fight. You know, even in one of the videos at the end, Logan's like, all right, I want Paddy Pimblett. It's like, shut up, dude. You're not fighting in the UFC. I don't think either one of these fools are going to fight in the UFC. Or trying to read the contract from afar. It's true. He might not even know what the hell's in that contract. But yeah, so I mean, I knew that wasn't going to be what it was, that he was fighting in the UFC. I knew it was going to be something else stupid. And of course, they did all this build up and lead up, corny ass shit. And then it turns out all it is that the Prime hydration drink is now going to be the official drink of the UFC. They did have body armor before. And, you know, it was body armor for a couple years, I think. But they have Monster Energy for energy drinks. They have Modelo for beer. They were using body armor, water. That's what you would see in the corner. In the corners when they would have water, you know, they throwing water on their head and everything like that. It was always a body armor. Now, I don't know if Prime makes a water, but they have this hydration drink. From what I heard, it's pretty damn good. It tastes like Kool-Aid with less sugar. So I don't know how good that is for you, but in the UK, I guess Prime is like ridiculously popular and everyone's fighting to get it. They're charging like $4,000 for a bottle of Prime because it's one of those like things. I don't know. It's just like the fucking Popeye's chicken sandwich. People are fighting and stabbing each other in lines to get it. It's like, what the fuck, people? Relax. It's gonna die down in a month or two at the most, and you'll get one. It's not that important. It's not fucking the fountain of youth. It's not the fucking money tree. So chill the fuck out. You don't need to fight and stab people and kill people for a fucking drink or a food item or a toy or a TV. Like, chill the fuck out. I don't know. So anyway, back to this news. So flying off of this, we move to, now the picture's funny because everyone looks like perplexed and kind of like, what the fuck is this? It's GSP, obviously, so it's far from relevant at the moment, but it's just a funny picture, and I think that's why they did this. And the caption says, UFC is renaming the red and blue corners to Prime Hydration Recovery Zones. Like, I don't know, man. What the fuck is happening here? So, I mean, it's kind of clever, right? Prime hydration drinks, Prime Hydration Recovery Zones. It's the fucking corner. Like, you go to the corner. It's always been the red or the blue corner. I like tradition like that, I guess. You know, I'm all for breaking tradition with things that make sense, but the hydration recovery, like, is this what's going to be said in the fucking broadcast? Now, as the fighters approach the Prime Hydration Recovery Zones, we'll see which one can come back more fresh. Like, what the fuck? This is going to be dumb. I don't see the commentators really using it. I mean, there's company guys out there for sure. Daniel Cormier will probably fucking say it like 14 times and over and over and over again because he's a company man like that. John Anik is kind of that way too, but at the same time, he's one to call out bullshit. So is Rogan gonna say as they go to the prime hydration recovery zones? Like, no, he's gonna say as they get to their corner and sit on the stool. That's what the fuck's always been said. So I don't know, man. I just think it's kind of fucking silly. Like, maybe put a blue prime energy drink in one corner and a red prime energy or prime fucking hydration drink on the other corner, instead of just where it says UFC in red and blue. Make it say prime in red and blue, and just, you know, and then I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what they're actually doing with it, if they're actually going to implement it and the broadcast make them say it, what kind of branding is going to go on the cage or on the mats. All I got to say is the fucking cage already looks like a goddamn NASCAR event. You know, if you watch NASCAR, you see their suits that they wear when they're driving, just like massive fucking it's just like a billboard, you know, the boards all around the track. There's just so many fucking sponsorships like everywhere, which is good for them for money. But when it looks like everything you're doing has something to do with a product or some sort, it's like, damn, it's a lot. And with the UFC not wanting the fighters to have their own sponsorships and be able to promote like different items or drinks or anything like that of their own and make money off of it, they said, oh, well, we want to make sure that the uniforms are clean and clear of all the bullshit that they were having before. But yet they're gonna like just ravage the cage and everything around it with fucking advertisements and promotions of things. It's just fucking dumb, man. I don't understand it. It's super annoying. And yeah, I can not avoid it, but I can't even remember what I was gonna say. That's how much it annoys me. I can be distracted away from it, and I can ignore it. That's what I was trying to say. I can ignore it, but in between rounds when no action's happening and you're looking at things and you're just kind of like, Jesus Christ, how many fucking like ads are you gonna put all over this shit? Anyway, that's just my thing with that. So yeah, prime hydration recovery zones. Good luck saying that a lot and quickly on the broadcast with the 1 minute break in between rounds. So moving on, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you feel about the whole thing, more Paul brother fucking news. But this one's interesting. You know, Jake Paul's been on a rampage, fucking boxing ex-MMA fighters and YouTubers and all that. You know, he was supposed to have this fight with Tommy Fury 2 different times now, where they were supposed to be matched up and have a fight. Oh man, there's some places you can find that, Lance. I promise you that. But yeah, so finally it's official. The third try at making the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight it's official. That's what I was trying to say. The 26th of February, so that's not too far away. Actually, a few weeks away. Let's see if Tommy Fury makes it this time, because this is twice now that he's dropped out and has not made it to the fight. So before, you know, I don't remember the first fight who wound up being his replacement, but the second fight it wound up being Tyron Woodley again, which unfortunately he got knocked out cold. So this time though, they're saying it's official, gonna happen. They had the face-off. They had a face-off in the middle during the Better BF fight, like right before it. So who knows? Let's see if it happens. But if Tommy Fury can't make it, we have Mike Perry as a stand-in. So Jake Paul says we have Mike Perry on standby. Let's go, Mike Perry. He's ready to jump in case Tommy Fury pulls out, because it's already happened twice. So this is the third time. Third time's a charm, right? Let's make it fucking happen. I would like to see. There's a whole argument about whether Tommy Fury is considered a real boxer or not. If you watch the Rogan podcast with Dave Portnoy, Portnoy's kind of a dumbass anyway when it comes to certain things, and he's kind of a douche, but he's entertaining as well. I'll give him that. And he's successful as shit, so I can't down on him too much. But Portnoy was trying to argue with, well, Portnoy's also a Jake Paul fucking fanboy, right? But Portnoy was trying to argue with Rogan about whether or not Tommy Fury was a real boxer. So you can see the clip anywhere. Just look it up. Rogan versus Portnoy. And yeah, Rogan rips him a new one, tells him to shut the fuck up multiple times, tells him he's stupid and that he's full of shit and he doesn't know what he's talking about, because basically Portnoy is trying to say that Fury isn't a real boxer. He's not even throwing real punches. Everything looks amateurish. The guy he's fighting is not reputable. All the reasons in the book to try to say that somebody isn't, a top level fighter. Maybe Tommy Fury's not his brother for sure, but he's a damn good boxer from what I've seen. And to fight somebody like Jake Paul, that's what you need. Just somebody who knows what to do. The dude's grown up boxing. Like, how could he not know? He can't be that bad, right? I've never watched any of like his entire fights, but I think he could be considered a boxer for sure. Rogan definitely puts people in their places, and Dave Portnoy needed to be put in his place that day, and it fucking happened. A lot of times Rogan will hold back a little bit, but he did not hold back this time. Check out that clip if you haven't seen it. It's fucking entertaining. So anyway, that about wraps it up for that. Mike Perry, backup fighter if Tommy Fury bitches out again. MMA. Oh, you're talking for this Fury and Jake Paul fight? No, it's a boxing match. And Mike Perry is an MMA fighter, but he is doing bare knuckle boxing right now, and he's been looking for a big time like traditional boxing match, and he's tried to call out Jake Paul and stuff before too. So yeah, so they have him in there as a backup because Jake Paul figured, oh well, I'll just take out another ex-MMA guy. So, but it is a boxing match, straight up normal traditional boxing match for Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, or Mike Perry, whichever one winds up happening. So moving on, let's get to this next UFC Fight Night event, 218. So this was supposed to take place in South Korea. Yeah, South Korea. But the Korean Zombie was supposed to fight on this card, and something happened where he had to pull out. So and I'm not sure why else, but they decided to move the fight card to Vegas. So another fucking Vegas event at the Apex, which is getting annoying and tiring. And then to make it even worse, now this is good for South Korea, where they were expecting to be able to see the fight live, prime time for them. But they are leaving it so that can happen for South Korea, because there's a lot of Asian, Korean, fucking whatever, everyone from that side of the world. They usually stack the card with whatever region they're in. So if it's Australia, they try to get Australians, New Zealand, stuff like that. If it's Mexico, they try to get Mexican fighters, all that, just to make it good for the local crowd. But yeah, so there's a bunch of Asian fighters on this card, and they moved it to Vegas. So now it's gonna be, if you're in Arizona, the main card starts at 11 p.m. So pretty fucking late. If you're on the East Coast, it starts at 1 a.m. I'm sorry. 1 p.m. would be great. 1 a.m. Damn. So yeah, this is a late ass card. If you want to watch it, you're going to be up late. If you're not partying or hanging out with people or in bed, then you can watch the fight. It's going to be on ESPN Plus. But yeah, it's super late. Lewis versus Spivak is the main event. That should be a pretty good fight. This is a rescheduled fight from before. Lewis pulled out before. I still don't even know why he pulled out. This was like a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. But they were supposed to fight before, and Spivak wound up fighting someone else and fucking KO'd him quickly, if I remember correctly. So now they rescheduled this fight, and here it is. And it looks like Derek Lewis is looking pretty good on his return here, because on the left is the way he normally looks. Pretty big dude. He is a heavyweight. He's got to cut weight to get to 265. But look at him on the right. Like, what the fuck? There was another picture circulating where he was like, it looked like he was jogging in the street, and he looked pretty thin there too. And people were like, maybe it's just the angle of the camera, you know, the way that the person took the picture or whatever. But in this picture, I mean, there's really no way around it. He looks like he's got the V shape going. He's slimmed down. His waist looks, you know, slimmer. He doesn't got the love handles as much, not the big belly. So shit, looks like Derek Lewis is getting serious. And damn, I just got an itch on my arm. I'm banging and shit around. But yeah, looks like Derek Lewis is getting serious. And yeah, if he keeps the weight off like that, hopefully he doesn't lose too much power in those hands. But looking pretty good. Maybe that's a good sign for his cardio. Maybe he won't gas out so easily, and maybe this means he'll turn it up sooner in the fight, because a lot of times he likes to fill people out for a while, and you know, sometimes it makes for a boring fight. So, but when he gets a hold, what happens to him too a lot is he gets beat up quite a bit in the beginning, and then all of a sudden he comes back and just fucking murks some fool, and the fight's over and he wins by KO. So it's always a wondering, like, what's happening in a Derek Lewis fight. You never know what's going to happen. He's going to come out and just murder somebody, or he's going to come out and damn near die himself because he's so tired. We'll see which one he get this time. Looking like that, I would assume it's going to be a damn good fight, but we'll see what kind of a detriment losing all that weight is for him. Could be better, could be worse. I've seen it go both ways. Anyway, here's an example of his crazy power. You can't even see the punch, but it's right there. A little uppercut to Curtis Blades, right in the chin, drops him. Look at those nasty bombs he drops on him as he's out already. I mean, he was stiff, you could see, and he just dropped some bombs on him. And you know, you got to keep going until the ref stops it. But I mean, that was a bit much. But it's Derek Lewis. He's a fucking beast. That's why they call him the Black Beast. But what he's got to fight against is Spivak with these takedowns. This is against Greg Hardy. Not a huge feat, but Greg Hardy is a strong motherfucker. Ex NFL player. He threw some people around in the cage himself. He's no longer in the UFC anymore. He's actually scheduled to do a bare knuckle boxing match coming up soon. But yeah, Spivak, he's relentless with these takedowns. He gets you down on the ground and either ground and pounds you out or puts you in some crazy submission, or just in a bad position where you can't move. And Derek Lewis is not very good at getting up from his back. So if Spivak gets him down like he did to Hardy here, that's gonna mean trouble for Derek, unless he's been working on his takedown defense or his, you know, fighting off his back. So Spivak is good at getting people on the ground, that's for sure. And that's kind of Derek Lewis's kryptonite, like I said. So I'm hoping to see a good fight out of this one, because, you know, Derek needs a good win. He's been so up and down, off and on, especially dropping out of fights and stuff. It's never good. Doesn't look good with his record as of late. So he needs a good big win here, and I'd like to see him get it against Spivak. Moving on, other fights on the card, on this main the main card at least. We got, see, I told you a bunch of Asian fighters. I was sitting here trying to read this. It's Yusaka Kinoshita, I think, against Adam, which is pretty funny. His last name is Fugit. Like, it might be Fujit, but it looks like it says Fugit. So I say fuck it, right? But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big age difference. 12 years age difference. 6-1 for Kinoshita and 8-3 for Fugit. I don't know too much about either one of these guys, to be honest with you. A lot of these Asian fighters are not well known, but the main card has a couple that are, so that's good. Fugit, I think I've heard of him before, but don't know a ton about him. But he's on the main card. Got to give him their shout, and yeah, we'll see how that fight goes. moving on, we got Duho Choi. It says Choi Duho, but this is like, I've talked about it before with Weili Zhang Weili. No one really knows which way it's supposed to go. They have their own way of saying their name and their own way of writing their name. So I don't know. Duho Choi is what I've always known it to be. His nickname is a Korean Superboy, which is pretty dope. I kind of like that name. He's fighting Kyle Nelson, 14-4. Kyle Nelson is 13-5. Same age, same height. It's a featherweight fight, and it looks like Nelson has a 1-inch reach on him. But the Korean Superboy is a crazy, like, just a bum rushing fighter. He's fast and he's quick, and you know he'll get those strikes in on you and be out of the way pretty fast. I don't know a ton about Nelson, but Korean Superboy is pretty dope, and it's always exciting to watch his fight. So I'll be looking out for that one. Then we got Marcin Tybura versus Blagoy Ivanov. This is a heavyweight fight. This should be exciting. Ivanov and Tybura are both heavy hitters, obviously, in the heavyweight division, but I think this is going to be a pretty good fight. This should be one to watch. You know, with this one and the Lewis and Spivak fight, two big heavyweight fights, I think it'll be, if nothing else is good on this card, these two fights will be. I'm pretty damn sure. My track record isn't great for betting, but when I talk about a fight that I think will be pretty good, I've done all right, I think. Either which way, these are big guys, big hitters, and I'm excited to watch this one. And finally, we got Jung Da-un versus Devin Clark. I've seen Devin Clark fight a couple times. He's pretty damn good himself. Just one of these up and comers, you know. And then he's a bit older than Da-un, I think that's how you say his name. But it's a light heavyweight fight, and yeah, that rounds off the main event, or the main card for the UFC. And it's called UFC Fight Night 218. Normally it's like UFC Vegas 67 or 68 or whatever. This one's weird because it was supposed to be in South Korea, like I said. I think it's South Korea, yeah. And so you know, those events are kind of numbered as fight nights. So this one's 218. That's why it looks a little different. But it's always confusing. I always have to look it up and see what they're actually calling it if it's not a numbered pay-per-view event. So all the pay-per-view events are numbered and they're in sequential order, all that stuff. It's a little easier to decipher than some of these fight nights and Apex fights and all this other shit. Vegas nights, I don't even know. Too many to figure out. So I just go with the main thing that's being put out there, and that's what this was. So yeah, moving on. We also have a Bellator event this weekend. It's a pretty big one, actually. It's gonna be their CBS debut, Paramount Plus. You can watch it on either one. This will be Saturday. It's a little earlier, so I mean, if you're a big MMA fan and you're into watching all the events, you're gonna have a good long night of fighting to watch, because you can watch Bellator 290 first, and then that should be over with, and then shortly after you can watch that UFC Fight Night card. So if you really want to have a full long night of fights to watch, you got it, because they're not conflicting, so you don't have to choose. Or if you're just out hanging out and doing whatever, and then you come home late, you can watch that UFC card later in the night, or vice versa. If you're gonna be out late and you're watching stuff early, there you go, watch Bellator. Anyway, on the main card, we got two title fights. We got the heavyweight world championship title fight. Ryan Bader is the champ. Oh man, I got the hiccups, that hurt. Ryan Bader is your current heavyweight champ for Bellator. He's an ex-UFC fighter. If you recognize the name or the face for some reason, that's probably why. Unless you do know that, you know, Bader was in the UFC for a long time. And then he's fighting a fucking living legend, and he's beaten him before, though, so that's the thing. Bader is a lot younger than Fedor. So Fedor Emelianenko is like I said, he's a legend. He has been around for a long time. He fought in Pride, he fought in Strikeforce, and he's fought in Bellator. Never made the UFC happen though, even though the UFC definitely fought to have him come over and fight for them. It just never came to fruition. Too many things in the way. It's kind of like when a guy and a girl are trying to get together, but one always has a significant other, then they break up, and then the other one has a significant other. That's kind of how this went. So he was always involved with somebody when the UFC is trying to get him, and he just didn't want to. He wanted a lot of things, so in order to get out of the contract, it just didn't work. So he never went to the UFC, and it's pretty unfortunate because he's considered one of the best heavyweights of all time, and of course, people always seem to consider the UFC heavyweight champion to be the baddest man on the planet, but Fedor has always been that asterisk. An asterisk on the side of that UFC heavyweight champ is, well, you've never fought Fedor, so how do we know? And unfortunately, he's lost a step or two. He's an older guy, and he's retired before, but he came out of retirement to fight again. And here he is. This will be his retirement fight again. Against Bader. That's tough. He's trying to, get this belt and walk out the champ, but it's not an easy feat against Ryan Bader, who's been just, talented for years now, and he's been the champ. He was a double champ actually in Bellator. He had the light heavyweight belt for a little while as well as the heavyweight belt. So, yeah, we got that fight going. And then you've got middleweight world championship belt, Eblen versus Tokov. Yeah. And then you've got Hamasi versus Ward. I was just kind of getting into Bader versus Fedor, which that's what this is. Obviously, it's the second fight that they've been in. Bader won the first one. I got a little ahead of myself. I totally forgot I had a graphic for it. But yeah, I should have put up a little more about Fedor. I don't know if a lot of people know about him. He's called The Last Emperor. Lots of great fights. You can find him anywhere. His Pride fights and his Strikeforce fights were awesome. A lot of great fights there. I watched him when he was in Strikeforce. I didn't watch a lot of Pride when it was first out because I was a little before my time of watching fights. But I did watch him fight in Strikeforce, and pretty dope. Sad to see him go, but I think he should have probably stayed retired in the first place. He didn't have that great of a record coming back. But it's Fedor, and he got the few big wins in there. It was cool to see that, but he's calling it quits again, and he says it's for good this time. So, yeah, good luck to Fedor. I do like Bader a lot. I've actually met him in the past. I've been to a couple events where I met him. He was really cool. He was really cool to my kids, and I appreciate all that because, these guys don't have... You never know what you're going to get with some of these guys that are famous for fighting or anything else. And he was always a really down-to-earth dude and really cool. So it's good to see him thriving. And even though it's Bellator, it's not the UFC. He never quite got the belt. Did he get the belt in UFC? I think he might have been champ at one time, or he fought a bunch of times for the belt. I don't even remember because it's been a long time. Bader's been gone for a while. Either which way, though, I always like watching and seeing what happens with Bader and where his career is taking him and stuff. It's kind of one of those things where you meet someone and you think they're cool, so kind of follow their career and see how it goes. Anyway, moving on, we got Johnny Eblen versus Anatoly Tokov. So this is for the middleweight world championship. Eblen's been just killing things. He's been the champ for a bit, and he's 12-0 against Tokov, who's 31-2. Obviously, these are an accumulation of their entire professional MMA records, but Eblen's been on a tear lately, and he's been a champ for a while in Bellator, so there's a lot of hype around him. So this should be a pretty good fight. I'll definitely be watching for those highlights on that one. Moving on, we got Neiman Gracie versus Dante Shiro. Now, Neiman Gracie, if you recognize that last name, it's because it's the famous Gracie family, obviously. And Neiman is just one of the many Gracies out there. this is a weird. I hate to even bring this up, but this is a weird set of pictures here. Like Shiro looks like he's strung out and tired as fuck, and maybe hasn't eaten in days and dehydrated. And Neiman Gracie looks like he's got gigantism or some shit. His head looks gigantic. Fucking Shiro's neck looks like it's way too long, so you don't even see his shoulders. They just went way too close on Neiman Gracie's face. It's weird. And he looks fucking demented. I don't know. It's just something I noticed. Fucking kind of funny. Yeah. Anyway, it's distracting as hell. That's what I will say. But, you know, with Neiman Gracie, you got to watch out for that jiu-jitsu. Obviously, Gracie jiu-jitsu is world class and, you know, very famous. That name is famous. So if you're out there trying to act like you're not going to get submitted and act reckless, you'll get submitted by Gracie. So Dante Shiro, I don't know much about this guy. Haven't really heard of him very much, but it's a welterweight fight, and we'll see how Neiman does. I've heard of Neiman before. His name's pretty, I mean, not only because he's a Gracie, but I've heard a lot about him and other fighters training with him and talking about him and stuff. So yeah, that's a fight to look out for. Then we got Lorenz Larkin versus Makhmed Berkhamov. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I might not be. Either way, Lorenz Larkin was in the UFC for a little while himself. He's been pretty damn successful in Bellator. You know, a lot of these guys that just seem to come up short in the UFC go over to Bellator and thrive. So, and that's a good thing. I mean, at least they have somewhere else to go, but that just kind of tells you a little bit about the competition between Bellator and the UFC. But I've seen UFC guys go to Bellator and maybe not do as well. Just kind of depends on where they're at with their career at the moment. But Lorenz Larkin's been doing pretty well in Bellator, and I think it's a good home for him. So it's a welterweight bout as well. Looks like Makhmed has a little bit of height advantage over Lorenz. He's undefeated, so we'll see if Lorenz can take that O from him. 14-0 against 24-7. I mean, it's always a lot of pressure on the guy who's undefeated to stay undefeated, and it's always a lot of pressure on the guy fighting the undefeated guy because he wants to take that O from him. Or he's, you know, maybe doubting himself because he's like, well, this guy's undefeated. Let's find out why. So yeah, I'm going for Lorenz Larkin for sure because he's just a name I know. I followed him for a while in his career, and I think he's the son of Barry Larkin, who was a famous Cincinnati Reds player back in the day. I believe he was a shortstop. Yeah, either way, I collected baseball cards all through my younger years, and I still have all my baseball cards actually. And Barry Larkin was always one of the guys that I was looking out for. So yeah, Lorenz Larkin being his son, pretty cool to know that I kind of followed his dad's career as well. And last but not least, we got Darion Caldwell versus Nikita Mikhailov, which is weird because there's a guy in the UFC named Nikita Krylov. So that's, I don't know, those Russian names, man. They all sound alike, kind of. It's just like the Dagestanis are all like Magomedov or Nurmagomedov or something of that sort. But yeah, Darion Caldwell, I believe, was a champ at one point in time in Bellator. This is a bantamweight fight, 135. Caldwell's 15-5-0. Nikita Mikhailov is 9-2. Looks like Caldwell has the height advantage, probably the reach advantage as well. And yeah, this should be a pretty good fight. Caldwell's always involved in an exciting fight. He's one of those fast-paced, high output fighters. So we'll see how that one goes. Yeah, I don't know which one of these fights, if I'm gonna watch either one of them live or not. You know, probably more than likely it'll be the Bellator fight that I'll catch more of it live. Because I mean that that shit is super late, and with the way my week went, I'll probably be trying to catch up on sleep. So I might not be out, might not be out or up for too late on Saturday. So I don't know how much of that I'm gonna be able to catch. But anyway, that about wraps it up for the event. Let's see, what else do I got? I think that's it. Looks like next week, not this weekend, but next weekend obviously will be the next pay-per-view. So that is, let's see, that is UFC 284. Yeah, February 11th. So that's also a lot of people celebrating Valentine's Day early that weekend, maybe. My wife and we were gonna do it Saturday, and then I realized there's a fight on. What a dick, right? She agreed though. Friday works, so we're gonna do it Friday, so we can watch the fights. I think I'm gonna watch them here at home, so I don't think we're gonna have a watch party podcast for that. But if anything changes, I will definitely be throwing it out there and promoting that if we do wind up having one. I know Clark's been wanting to get on one, so if we don't do it that weekend, we'll do it sometime soon. But yeah, that's going to be a big fight. Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski for the lightweight title, and that'll be Volkanovski going to be double champ because he right now is the featherweight title holder, I think. Fuck, I don't know. I get all these damn loud outside of my door. Anyway, yeah, Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. That should be damn good fight. There's a few others too. Obviously, we'll get into it and I'll go over it, preview it, and everything like that. But for now, yeah, that's the next one coming up. I don't know for sure, like I said, what I'm doing with that, but I'll let everybody know. That about does it for me, though. I'm happy to be here, like I said, and be back and be able to do this in my room, in my little podcast studio. It's tough when I go out of town. So, but yeah, thanks to Lance for keeping me company in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. And join us on Sunday for the Rumble podcast because we will be back on Sunday. And that comes. Let's see, we go live at 8 p.m. Arizona time. So, do the math for your time zone. But yeah, it's on the Rumble Podcast YouTube channel. So go check that out. That's me and 3 other guys usually that do that podcast. And we always do different things from Sunday to Tuesday to Wednesday. Every show's a little different. Sunday's usually the chill show. I'm sure we'll go over Tommy's little trip he took. I think it was for work. I think. I don't remember for sure if it was like a family vacation or a work thing. I don't remember. But either way, he's gone for the week, so he'll be back. We'll do the show again on Sunday. And as for me, yeah, hopefully you liked a little bit of the different transitions and stuff I did here. That's kind of one of the few things I was able to, take advantage of my time out of town and learn some new stuff. I got some other new things that I want to try to, get down and actually, I guess master how to do them. And then hopefully I can just keep the stream going and make it better all the time. I just like to make sure I change it up and people don't get too, bored with how everything's looking. And I like things to get changed all the time. It's nice to have a base, but it's also nice to change things up here and there and make it fresh and nice. So I'm always after doing all that. But anyway, thanks again for everybody that tuned in. If you're watching this later, I appreciate you for coming back and checking out my show. Make sure you like and subscribe and, hit that notification bell. Next time, join me in the chat and join Lance in the chat. He likes to come in and talk with us, so that's cool. And I always appreciate it. And I like when people ask questions and interact a little bit. I always stop and try to make sure I acknowledge what's happening in the chat too, as you could tell. Sometimes it throws me off, but I don't really care. It's not a big deal. I'm not anything official here. I'll take a second and laugh at whatever's happening in the chat and acknowledge it. So yeah, and comment on the video if you're watching it later, like it and share it. Tell somebody else about the show. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and hopefully you can get some of your friends to come check it out and subscribe and like and all that good stuff. That way, keep this shit growing, and hopefully I'll keep, making things fresh and nice and cool, and keep everybody interested. So thanks again, everyone. I appreciate all your support. And I guess catch me on Sunday on the Rumble podcast if you guys are wanting to check out something a little bit different. Otherwise, we'll see you next week, Thursday, same time, same place. Check me out then. All right. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy the fights. Couple things to watch. Go check it out. We'll see you next time. Peace.